am I doing? What the actual fuck was that? Alrighty, okay. So, I'm gonna teach you how to take a computer file, create a 3D model, and print it, and then go to a completed clone trooper helmet. It's not a simple process, but in my opinion, it's all worth it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty, let's talk about files. If you want to pay for files, use Galactic Armory. Their files are high quality, incredible customer support, and really adaptive. But if you're like me and don't want to pay for files, I'll be using Thingiverse, Printables, and Code 3D. I'll link all the resources down below, don't worry. Let's go look at the websites. Alrighty, this is Galactic Armory. These files, like I said, are incredible customer support, have tons of files, have some with magnets and some without, and really incredible. If you're buying files, use these. It's even on sale right now. I have found the best creator for helmets on Thingiverse is Kilonius. He has some incredible helmets. Both my Phase 1 and Phase 2 are remixed from him. You can see here, his Phase 2 helmet is really incredible and high quality. And the one problem is this lip. Printables, Christian3024883 has actually remixed it without the lip. This is the file I will be using, and all of it will be in the description. Let's get printing. Alrighty, here we have our file in our slicer, and you can tell obviously it's too big.
That's what she said!
I know, measuring from ear to ear on me, that I should scale down to around 89%. So now let's cut this up into pieces. I prefer cutting it into anywhere from 3 to 5 pieces. The least amount of pieces you can do is the better. So for the dome, you want to cut it in a spot where it's least visible, and you have to do the least amount of sanding. I find right here, right from this flat base up is the perfect spot because it's hidden and it's really easy to sand out. So perform our cut. And now the back is obviously too large, but we're going to use the same concepts. We want to hide where our cut mark is going to be. We also don't want to cut where all these features are because it makes it incredibly hard to sand, it makes it look messy and not good. So we're going to put it actually right behind it, kind of hiding it. So we're going to line our cut up. I say right here's the closest I can get. And now we have all of our files set up. We want to take into account how the layer lines are going to go. For the dome, there's not really any other way we can print this, so we'll leave it like this. Same thing with the back plate, but we will note that here, right at the top of the dome, and the back section of the back will have more layer lines because of how we positioned it. Now the top, we want to position it where this front piece has the least amount of layer lines. So what I like to do is either position it on the top piece like this or on the bottom. I'm going to be doing it on the top. And then once here, we can generate support. Support you can go pretty moderate on, depends how nice your quality printer you have and nice quality you want your prints to be. I usually do pre-auto, and I would put supports on everything but the dome. I like having supports on the dome, but it's not needed. This file looks good, a lot of support, but it will make the quality look a lot better. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. There's a few spots where support isn't necessary. Like in here, you really don't need it, but honestly, it looks good. The dome, same thing, the brim is a bit too big, but here you can really see the layer lines. Same thing with the layer lines and the brim. But honestly, I'm happy with all these files, so let's go ahead and print them. Alrighty, look at that beautiful 3D print. Let's remove this and put it with the other printer. And now, cut to the time lapse of me removing the supports. Holy shit, that's a lot of support. I wonder how many turtles this could kill. No! Okay, after removing all the support, we gotta print 1, 2, and 3.
Oh yes.
These prints look pretty good. If we look at the dome, you can see these layer lines will be a little bit harder to get out. But on the back, you kind of see this does look a little bit, but here, well, a bit more effort. But the front part looks actually very, very good. You can see there's minimal layer lines, and I know this is a nice printer, so it differs a bit, but it's still very nice print. So now we need to assemble it. Before we solder the helmets together, we're going to use some E6K to temporarily glue them together. This is important to finding the orientation and how all the pieces fit together, and important just to see how the helmet looks out, making sure you have all the parts together and everything looks right. How I usually do it, front connected to the back. So you apply a few dabs of it every so often, and then we apply it. You want to try and line up the seam lines as best you can. I'm pretty happy with this orientation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my soldering iron here. 320 degrees works best. The important part is this top rim here, because this is where the helmet is going to be lying on. Okay, now that my soldering iron is hot enough, I'm going to grab it, and inside the helmet, it's important, inside the helmet on that seam line, you're going to want to mark X's. It's best to do about 2 on each side, and then you can relax a little bit, because then the helmet is sturdy enough to let go. The first thing you should do before any of the process I just showed you is put your mask on. It's for safety, it's important, and you should wear it. Now, I'm going to show you more melting plastic. Okay, here we can see, I'm going to try and do this dual-handed. X's, nice small X's across. Get me right there. Yeah, so this here together pretty well. You can see here we did a nice job of keeping nice and level, but you can see this line. But sanding and filler will hopefully hide that. Woo. Alrighty, now we're gonna do the dome. It's the same thing with the E6K. Put a little bit on the edge, be a bit more careful. This is harder to hide, so nice and gentle. On this back piece here, where you have this kind of big bulge, put a little bit more, not too much, because it does spread a lot. It does spread quite a bit, the correct camera. God damn, I'm falling apart. I gotta get back in school. When you have a good flow, you wanna grab your dome, and this is the hard part. You have 2 main things that you need to watch out for. This back piece, and these little ledges. So, if you can look at the top here, it kind of juts out just a little bit where the ledge is. So, aim for that. Also the back, be careful. The dome is a bit harder to center, but if you get it, it works a lot. It looks so nice. Look at it from the front to see if this is on right. Obviously this one's not on right, so we're gonna go adjust that.
Many months later.
Alrighty, this time we're gonna remember to put the mask on. Initial dots first and X's, and then you can, go in and make it nice. So, go here, and we'll do some more soldering. Alright, the inside is a bit more difficult because of how you have to put the soldering iron, but, you want to try and make it the best you can. Okay, at this point, you have a fully assembled clone trooper helmet, and it looks great. Let's go! You can see here our seams, they're visible, but they're not too bad. So if you got here, I'm proud of you. Now we have the hard part, sanding. No. Sanding's difficult, it takes time, but the more you do it, the better it looks. So, let's get into it. Before we start sanding, I recommend taking some plastic wood filler and kind of lacing it into these cracks. And on this side here, it's a bit rough. We have some on our finger. We're just gonna try and smooth it out as much as you can. Alrighty, it looks a bit rough, so we're gonna now take a skewer and try and remove any buildup. Okay, for the first sand, you're gonna want to use a 100 grit sander. An electric sander works best, but you can definitely hand sand it. And the first sand, you're just trying to do an overall cleanup, cleaning up some lines. Definitely gonna be layer lines after the sand, but it's just an overall cleanup. Don't stand in one place for too long. You don't want to burn it, melt it, scratches. You don't want to mess it up. Here we have the entire dome sanded. You can see this here's not sanded, but the dome looks pretty good. Trust me, there's gonna be a lot more sanding, so don't get too excited yet, but it looks good. So now I'm gonna focus a little bit on these lines here, and the back and the front. Alrighty, after an hour of sanding with 100 grit sandpaper, we can see the layer lines are a lot less visible. Yes, there's definitely a bunch of markings, but it looks better already. You see here, it's a bit rough here, but don't worry, it'll look better. And yeah, so let's continue. Alright, the next step is to get some filler and sealer, wood filler. And we're gonna put about 3 scoops into this cup and then add some water. So you really wanna mix it. So You get no more big clumps. Alrighty, I'm pretty happy with this consistency. Let's go to the next step. Alrighty, now that we have this mixture here, we're going to slowly dab and try and paint our entire helmet. We want to try and smooth it out as much as we can, because we're going to have to sand off later. But really, just try and fill in the layer lines and spread it out as much as you can. We're painting the helmet. You can see it's a bit rough, but that's okay because we're going to sand it all again now.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
I left the mouth here and these respirators without the filler and sealer. My printer did a really good job on those. Same thing with here. So if your printer doesn't do quite a great job, I would recommend using it. I don't think it's always necessary. But yeah, things look good. Alright, fuck it, I'm using an electric sander.
That's my boy. No, my boy! Father help!
After a lot of sanding, I'm pretty happy with these results. It's nice and smooth, and it looks pretty good. So now we are going to move to painting. Alrighty, on to painting the helmet. I like to put it on a stake a few feet above the ground, and usually you should be using Rust-Oleum, filler, sealer, and primer paint. I don't have that, so we're going to make this do. It just means a little bit more sanding. Alrighty, after the first coat of paint, it doesn't look too shabby, but you can definitely see spots where we need to go in, sand it more, and put more filler in. Alrighty, we'll let this dry and continue. Alrighty, after the first coat of paint, you can see here, and a lot of spots we need to do a lot more sanding. And then also in some places, you're going to want to add some more of that paste, and then continue to sand. This process will take about 3 tries to get it, but after that, it looks really good. Alrighty, after a fuck ton of sanding, we are now going to do a second coat of paint.
Ooh, yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Let's do it. After letting the second coat sit for some time, we can see it looks a lot better, but there still are a few spots that don't look particularly great, so we're going to do it one more time to get sanding. After 3 rounds of sanding and painting, I'm pretty happy with this. Obviously, you can do more work. I mean, here there's some work needed, and then over here a little bit, but honestly, I'm happy with this. You're welcome to repeat the process as many times as you'd like. Now, before we do the visor and the foam, I'm going to spray some enamel, and we'll do painting in a future video. If you do plan to paint the helmet, do not use the visor and foam yet. Alright, you want to make sure you use the Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear Enamel. I find this one works the best, and this is the one I will be using. So, let's get spraying. Alright, we're almost done now. All we need is the visor and the foam. So, when we let the helmet dry, we're going to cut out the visor. Most files actually have a visor template attached or remixed with them. I'll show you mine in just a second. And we are using a welding helmet visor. I'll link it in the description, and a photo is going up now. So we're going to trace this and cut it out. Alrighty, it's okay if your cutout is a bit rough, mine is, but you want to make sure when you're printing your template, you scale it down to what your helmet scaled to. Since I scaled mine to 89%, this template should also be 89%. Okay, let's apply it now. Now we have our fully painted Clone Trooper helmet, and we're going to check if our visor fits. You can see that it fits now, so we're going to take off the wrapping, and we're going to put it in. Let's do it. Alrighty, I like to put down a towel first, so we don't stain the lenses, and you want to get a piece of tape that's a little bit bigger than the length of the visor. So, we're now going to take this wrap off. Alrighty, now that the wrap is off, we can see that baby shine. So we're going to take our tape, we want to put it on the edge, and we want to have about 1/2 inch, little more, little less on each side hanging off. If we're putting in the visor, you want to try and curve it so nothing touches, and you really don't want to touch the outside of it. Okay, so it's a bit rough on the tape job, but now we want to just tape up all the other edges so it can't lift up like that. But you can see, it already looks so much nicer. So, let's continue putting it in. Okay, wow, look at that. The visor looks beautiful, it's shiny, it's great. You can see it's not very pretty on the inside, but it works. And it's actually pretty seeable, right? It's not amazing, but it's better than nothing. So, we'll take it. Yeah, let's do the foam now. Okay, so I got the piece of foam that's going to go on top of my head, and I like to put some at each corner. So there, one there. You guys want to go? 3, stay with me. 4, one more. 5. I know that one's hard for you guys.
How dare you insult me in my own home!
Grab this. Put it right where we want. I know I want it to be kind of towards the middle. Okay, after putting that piece of foam right in there, we can try it on. It feels really good, but it's very loose. So you can see when I put it on and I shake my head, it goes crazy. It doesn't stay on my head. There's nothing bracing it from the sides. There's only a pivot point at the top. Piece of the foam on the side to help hold it in place. Okay, I added a bit more foam on the sides and the back, and so now it stays on my head a lot better. Okay, there you go. That's how you make a Clone Trooper helmet. I know it took some time, but thank you for watching. Huge thanks to Cyber Apex for doing a lot of the editing, actually all of the editing. And yeah, let's cut to the outro.